Imagine this. A man from the heart of America trading his suburban home for a rustic cabin in rural Russia. Our story begins with a man, let's call him John. John, a middle-aged man hailing from the bustling metropolis of Chicago, has decided to leave behind his comfortable, predictable life and embark on an unexpected journey. A journey that takes him from the land of the free to the vast expanses of rural Russia. You see, John's not one for the ordinary. He's always had a sense of adventure, a longing for something different, something raw and unfiltered. And for him, rural Russia was just that. A place where life isn't just lived, it's experienced in all its rustic simplicity. But this isn't a fairy tale, and as John soon found out, trading skyscrapers for birch trees and fast food for homemade borscht wasn't as seamless as he'd imagined. The initial culture shock was like a blast of Siberian air in the dead of winter. The language barrier alone was like climbing the Ural Mountains, the customs and traditions as foreign as the Cyrillic alphabet. Imagine, one day you're navigating the concrete jungle, the next you're negotiating the price of a chicken at a local Russian market, or you're trying to explain to your new neighbors why you don't drink vodka for breakfast. And yet John, our intrepid adventurer, faced these challenges head-on. He stumbled through the language, embraced the customs, and even developed a taste for that breakfast vodka. Sure, there were moments of frustration, of homesickness, but with each passing day, John was getting closer to understanding the soul of rural Russia. But this is just the beginning of John's journey, a journey that's not just about exploring a new land, but also about understanding a different way of life, a different perspective. So, how does life in rural Russia compare to the American way of life? Stick around as we delve deeper into John's extraordinary journey in the next episode. Life in rural Russia is a universe apart from the American lifestyle. To begin with, let's consider the rhythm of life. In rural Russia, the tempo is noticeably slower. The ticking clock holds a different meaning here. It's less about racing against time and more about living in harmony with it. There's a sense of tranquility that comes with the slower pace, a tranquility that might seem alien to those accustomed to the hustle and bustle of American life. In America, we're accustomed to convenience at our fingertips. Need groceries? Just pop into the nearest supermarket. Need to fix a leaky faucet? Call a handyman. But in rural Russia, self-reliance is not just a virtue, it's a necessity. It's about growing your own food, fixing your own home, and relying on your own skills. This might seem daunting, but it also brings a sense of accomplishment and independence that's hard to find elsewhere. Then there's the sense of community. In rural Russia, your neighbors aren't just people who live next door, they're your lifeline, your support system. The bonds that tie these communities together are strong and deep, forged by shared experiences and mutual reliance. This can be quite different from the American way of life, where independence often trumps interdependence. But don't be mistaken, America and rural Russia are not worlds apart. They share a common spirit of resilience, a love for their land, and a belief in the power of hard work. The American dream and the Russian dacha life may seem different on the surface, but at their core, they're both about carving out a piece of happiness for oneself. So yes, the collision of cultures can be jarring, but it's also fascinating. It's about discovering a different way of life, and in the process, discovering a different side of yourself. It's about learning to appreciate the beauty in simplicity, the strength in community, and the joy in self-reliance. Despite the stark differences, there are surprising similarities that bridge the gap. You might be surprised to find that not everything is different on the other side of the world. Despite the miles that separate the American Midwest from rural Russia, there are threads of commonality that bind us together. Perhaps the most profound of these is the importance of family. Both cultures treasure the bonds of kinship, and the home is a central pivot around which life revolves. Community involvement is another shared value. In small-town America, as much as in rural Russia, everyone knows everyone, and there's a strong sense of collective responsibility and mutual aid. It's a testament to the power of community that transcends geographical boundaries. And let's not forget the love for outdoor activities. Whether it's fishing in the Mississippi or hunting in the Siberian wilderness, there's a deep-seated appreciation for nature that both cultures share. The essence of humanity remains the same no matter where you are. Living in rural Russia, our American friend discovered a new perspective on life. The experience was like peeling back the layers of an onion, each revealing a deeper understanding of the world and himself. One of its most profound lessons was the importance of community. In the vast expanses of the Russian countryside, neighbors aren't just people living next door. They are your lifeline. They help you harvest your crops, mend your fences, and even share their meals when times are tough. Our friend learned that in these communities, people don't just coexist. They rely on each other, forging relationships that are as deep as the frozen rivers in winter. Another eye-opener was the appreciation for simplicity. Life in rural Russia is not cluttered with the constant noise of technology and consumerism that we often find in the West. It is a life stripped down to its essentials, where the rhythm of the seasons dictates the pace of life. Our American friend grew to appreciate this simplicity, finding joy in the quiet moments, the beauty of the changing seasons, and the satisfaction of a hard day's work. Resilience was another lesson that was hard to ignore. The harsh Russian winters can be brutal, but they also breed a kind of toughness that is hard to find elsewhere. Our friend watched in awe as the locals faced these challenges head-on, their spirits unbroken, their resolve unwavering. It was a lesson in tenacity and perseverance that he carried back with him, a lesson that was as valuable as any. These experiences in rural Russia didn't just change our friend's address, they enriched his life, broadened his worldview, and even redefined his definition of happiness. It was not an easy journey, but it was one that filled his life with color and texture that he wouldn't trade for anything. This journey proves that stepping out of one's comfort zone can lead to extraordinary discoveries and personal growth. So, next time you're contemplating a change, remember our American friend in rural Russia, and consider the lessons he learned from a life less ordinary. So what can we take away from this unique adventure? Well, the enriching experiences of living in rural Russia are many. The cultural collision can be tough, but it brings about a deeper understanding and appreciation of diversity. There are challenges, yes, but they serve to strengthen one's resilience. The common ground found in shared humanity, despite cultural differences, is truly inspiring, and the lessons learned, priceless. In the end, it's not about where you are, but the experiences you gather and the lessons you learn along the way.